Every morning, before your feet even reach the ground, something has already begun working against your peace. Your mind wakes before your body, and waiting for you is that silent inner struggle no one else can witness. Yet Psalm 27 is far more than a comforting passage for such moments. It's a spiritual tool, a shield, a proclamation, and a reminder of who stands beside you when everything around you feels unstable. David did not write this psalm during a calm or pleasant chapter of his life. He wasn't seated on a royal throne, sipping a cup of wine and singing words of triumph. He wrote these lines while danger hemmed him in, while Saul hunted him relentlessly, while people he trusted betrayed him, and while he was constantly fleeing from place to place. In the midst of that turmoil, he declared, "The Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear?" Psalm 27:1. This was not ego, nor was it blind optimism. It was bravery forged in adversity. It was faith strengthened under pressure. When life becomes shaky, Psalm 27 reminds you of a truth your fear hopes you ignore. Your strength has never depended on what you can see. It comes from the one who stands with you. Fear speaks early, and it speaks loudly. Before you rise from bed, fear whispers, "You're not capable. Nothing will improve. God doesn't hear you. You will fail again." Fear's voice is sharp and persistent. But David shows us something crucial. Fear isn't silenced by pretending it doesn't exist, but by speaking truth with greater force. That is why he writes, "Though an army encamp against me, my heart shall not fear." Psalm 27:3. That is not denial, it is defiance. David refused to let fear shape his identity. He refused to let his surroundings dictate his confidence. He set his attention on faith, and that choice transformed the way he saw everything. This is the deeper reality in Psalm 27 that many overlook. It isn't only about divine protection. It is about divine perspective. Because the moment you stop fixating on the threats around you and start focusing on the God who dwells within you, fear begins to lose its grip. Anxiety weakens. Darkness loses its claim. Waiting for God. Timing, one of the most challenging lines in the entire psalm, is also the one we desperately need. Wait for the Lord. Be strong, take heart, and wait for the Lord. Psalm 27:14. Waiting often feels like stillness, like unanswered prayers, like delayed breakthroughs, like being forgotten. But waiting is not punishment, it is preparation. God performs some of his greatest work in what appears to us as quietness. David didn't write these lines from a place of comfort. He wasn't waiting in a palace. He waited in caves, in nights filled with uncertainty and moments of fear. He waited while being chased. He waited while feeling alone. He waited when God's promise seemed distant. Yet he still declared, "I will wait for the Lord." Because faith is not proven when the answer arrives. Faith is proven before the answer comes. Some of you are walking through that same season right now. You've prayed consistently, shed silent tears, tried everything possible, and yet heaven feels quiet. Listen carefully, God's silence does not mean God's absence. He is shaping something within you that your future blessing will require strength, patience, endurance, discernment, and unwavering faith. When God delays something, it is never because you are unworthy. It is because he is preparing you to carry the very thing you asked for without being crushed under its weight. Confidence in the storm. David reveals another truth. Peace does not arrive when the storm disappears. Peace arrives when God steps into the storm with you. David wrote, "In the day of trouble, he will keep me safe in his dwelling." Psalm 27:5. David understood what we easily forget. God does not always remove the battle. Sometimes He fortifies you so you can walk through it unharmed. You don't need a calm environment to possess inner peace. Peace is not the absence of difficulty, it is the presence of trust. So when anxiety rises again, do not let it take control. Don't let it command your mood or shape your day. Answer it with faith. Declare with full authority, "The Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear?" Say it again. Say it until the fear inside you weakens. Say it until your thoughts shift. Say it until the atmosphere around you changes. This is not repetition, it is retraining your spirit to believe again. The power of God's presence. Psalm 27 hides a beautiful truth that many overlook. David does not simply ask for safety, nor merely for victory. He asks for something more profound, something deeply intimate. He says, "One thing I ask, that I may dwell in the house of the Lord." Psalm 27-4. He does not request revenge on Saul or plead for an easier path. He longs for closeness. Because David understood that peace is not created by having control, it is created by being connected to God. When you remain near Him, the troubles that once overwhelmed you begin to lose their force. Your heart quiets. Your mind clears. Your reactions soften. Your faith steadies. And soon, you are no longer reacting to fear, you are resting in trust. So before stepping into your day, don't only ask God to fix what surrounds you. Ask Him to fill what is within you. Because when God's presence goes before you, everything around you begins to transform. Light over darkness, Psalm 27-6 declares, "Then my head will be lifted up above my enemies who surround me. At His sacred tent I will offer sacrifices with shouts of joy. I will sing and make music to the Lord." This is not merely a verse of victory. It is a verse of elevation, awareness, and rising to a level where darkness cannot reach you. When David said his head would be lifted above his enemies, he wasn't speaking of pride, he was speaking of sight. When God lifts your head, He lifts your vision. He raises you to a place where the things that once frightened you cannot touch you anymore. Your enemies may surround you: stress, fear, doubt, betrayal, anxiety, but David reminds you that God surrounds them. And when God intervenes, He not only shields you, He elevates you. That is the essence of light triumphing over darkness, not merely escaping the storm but rising above it. Not simply surviving the attack, but standing stronger because of it. And look at what David does next. He worships. "I will offer sacrifices with shouts of joy." His joy becomes a weapon. His praise becomes protection. His worship becomes warfare. Because darkness loses its strength when you worship in the midst of the battle. When you praise God before the victory, you are declaring to the enemy, "You cannot control my spirit, my voice, or my joy." Worship lifts the atmosphere, lifts your thoughts, and lifts your spirit beyond the reach of fear. That is why He concludes, "I will sing and make music to the Lord." Praise is not a reaction, it is a strategy. It is what forces darkness backward, shifts the spiritual climate, and brings light into every shadow that tries to suffocate you. Psalm 27-6 delivers this powerful truth. When God lifts your head, darkness loses its hold. And when you lift your voice, darkness loses its ground. So if you feel surrounded today, lift your head, lift your voice, lift your worship, because God is raising you above everything that is trying to pull you down.